name is Soda, and today I'm going to be focusing on petticoats. Now, the petticoat is pretty much the heart of Lolita. If you can't fit one under your skirt, it probably isn't Lolita. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest poof, but it still is a very important factor. You need at least something under there. Now, if you're watching this, I'm sure you already know there are various different kinds of petticoats out there, made with a whole bunch of different kinds of materials and usually designed in like more A-lined or bell-shaped ways. Now, I am not going to go into detail on why these are the way that they are. This video is simply to compare my own petticoats, which ones I prefer, which ones I didn't like, and how I basically use them now. So I am going to show actual comparisons of all of my petticoats with different cuts of dresses and different fabrics just so that you can see what they look like. But before that, I'm going to go ahead and go into a quick little recap on the history of all the petticoats that I've owned before. I'm going to try to make it short, but you can skip ahead if you want. I've added timestamps to everything, so it should all be there. So by the time I was actually able to afford Lolita, I had already had like 3 Leg Avenue petticoats. I'd had them for like 6 years already. They were cheap. I bought them for like $10 each off of Amazon. They're not Lolita, and I would not recommend wearing them for Lolita, but here they are. I do still have them. Once upon a time, maybe they were a little bit thicker, but very slightly. They are very much deflated now. So upon first getting Lolita, I threw like 2 of these on, and I thought I had a sufficient amount of poof. And I thought, well, this is great. This is all I need for right now. But later on, after taking pictures, I would look at them and I would think, what is this deflated mess here? This is not nice. Moreover, these were just very uncomfortable to wear. They're very itchy. The fabric isn't soft at all. I mean, it's soft. It's not like, you know, organza. It's not sharp or anything, but it's just really not pleasant. It feels like very cheap tulle. And when I would wear these, regardless of whether I was wearing 1, 2, or 3 layers, every time I would take a step after like, you know, maybe like 20 minutes, 15 minutes of walking, it would start to slide in between my thighs and it would get caught there. And, you know, I'm in public, I can't really pull that out, not elegantly at least. And it would just continuously keep happening. So I realized I could not continue to wear these outdoors. Like maybe for pictures they were fine, but definitely not outdoors. So I was still a newbie Lolita and I was still trying to save money, and someone had suggested that Malco Modes might be an option. Now, no, they are not for Lolita. I believe they are for square dancing. But I found one that was secondhand. It was relatively cheap. And even though it was A-lined, it had massive poof. And so I thought I can work with that. And, you know, if it's not the right shape, I can DIY something. It'll be fine. I just need the material. And so when I got it, it was in fact very A-line to the extreme. What I ended up doing was I would tuck the bottom out like inside and over the top to create a cupcake shape. And it did actually give me very nice poof. However, it was so uncomfortable and itchy and just, it wasn't happy. Like, it looked great from afar in certain kinds of dresses, but otherwise it just, I couldn't wear it. I basically ended up letting my cat use it as a bed. I mean, I didn't. It wasn't my choice, it was hers. But it happened, and you know, I've since thrown it away. So, but I would say the cat made very good use out of it, so it was all worth it. So in this point in my Lolita journey, I still wasn't sure where to go for petticoats. I knew to avoid brand because they deflated too easily, and also Bodyline because they just had no poof to begin with. But Taobao was very confusing to me because I didn't know what measurements were correct. When I would Google, I would always get like a different answer for everything, and centimeters still confused me, as you know, an ignorant American. But then I also didn't want to spend money on anything that wasn't guaranteed to work, so I didn't want to just go out and buy random Taobao petticoats and hope for the best. But what ended up happening next was I found a hoop skirt from AliExpress, and it was pretty cheap, so you know what, I went ahead with it because I thought, well, a hoop is like a guaranteed to have some kind of puff at least. Like, I imagine it would be a little bit hard to mess that up. And you know what? It actually worked pretty well. It was really great for summertime. It gave me just enough poof, and it wasn't rubbing up against my legs because, you know, it's a hoop. My only issue with it is that because it was a hoop skirt, you know, if you have a heavy bag, anything pressing up against it is gonna push it over. So that wasn't very pretty, but my way around that now is just to wear backpacks. Now, for that Taobao hoop skirt, I no longer have that one either. I ended up taking the fabric because it was a very nice round fabric, and I used it as the base of my Christmas tree a while back, and my cats loved it. So yeah, it's likely never going near my Lolita ever again. So eventually I did end up replacing that one with a TuluTulu hoop skirt, and basically it's pretty much the same thing, just higher quality. Here it is. It is all chiffon. It's got really nice lace at the bottom. Very good. There's 2 tiers, and on the other side is this other portion here. So yeah, this is very lightweight and great for summer. Also, I should mention, the hoop portion is like metal, so you can pretty much adjust it to be whatever size you want. Right now, this is the max size that it can get, I believe. But if you need like a very, very small petticoat for more like everyday dresses and stuff, you can also do that with this. I think it's a really great option. So this one is 47 centimeters long, which is like 2 extra centimeters over the next 2 petticoats that I'm about to show. So this is the longest one that I have, but it's not really so much an issue so long as I make sure to hike it a little bit up my waist more. This works really well with my Innocent World stuff as well as my baby stuff. Yeah, I think there's only a few exceptions for this where it wouldn't really work out that well. Okay, so after that, I eventually came across an Aurora and Ariel petticoat on Lace Market. It was new with the tag, and I had at this point heard a lot of good things about this brand, and it was pretty affordable, so I bought it. And upon receiving, I was just so happy. I felt like I'd finally found the one. Here it is. There are 2 tiers. I mean, I don't know if you count this little part as one, but yeah, it is 45 centimeters in length. Pretty stretchy. And I found that 45 is pretty much like the ideal length, especially for like generic AP dresses. Now this one in particular leans a little bit more towards being like A-lined, but it still has quite a bit of poof at the top. There is also a, let's see, 1, 2, let me get in there. Jesus. Okay, yeah. There is a cotton skirt underneath, and so this actually prevents the top part from getting in between your thighs when walking, which is so helpful. It also prevents this from like rubbing up against your skin, so it's not going to be uncomfortable. If I had to suggest any petticoat for a beginner, I would definitely suggest this one. It is the most affordable of all of them, and I think it's just a really solid choice, especially because the way that it's shaped, you can use it for both classic and sweet and goth as well. So aside from that, I also ended up getting the Wonderwelt petticoat. I also received this new on Lace Market, which I was very happy to see because every time I've gone on Wonderwelt's like official website, it's always sold out. But yeah, so this one instead has 3 tiers, but it is the same length. This is also 45 centimeters. It's stretchy, and it also as well has the this is not what happened. It has one, it was just hidden. It also has an underskirt made of cotton. This one is actually tiered, whereas the other one is not. So this one is a little bit more flowy. The underskirt in this one takes the same shape of like the petticoat, whereas the previous one from Aurora and Ariel is more like straight. It's like a kind of like a pencil skirt, but roomy. Also, the design of this one leans more towards Cupcake instead of A-line. So yeah, I would say that this is also another solid choice if you can get your hands on one. I'm not sure what the measurements for the waist of this is, but I do feel like the other one has a little bit more stretch to it compared to this one. Okay, so finally we're gonna go ahead and talk about MeLikesTea. And if you're unaware, they basically hand make all of your petticoats to order. And I had been putting off buying from them because while I understand why, like everything is very customizable, but also it's expensive, especially because they're in a different country, so shipping is just, it'd be a lot of money. And because again there's like so many options, I was always a little bit like confused on, well, what material should I go for and stuff. But I came across a petticoat on Lace Market once again. It was like new. I think the person had only tried it on once, maybe worn it a few times for pictures, which is all good. But I went ahead and decided to purchase that one in particular because it would have been a little bit cheaper rather than buying directly from MeLikesTea. This way I could test it out and see if it is like a good fit for me. So here it is. It is also 45 centimeters in length. I think the waist is 67 centimeters. I'm not entirely sure. It is stretchy, but I know that when you are buying, you can change the waist size. That is an option. I think you can also change the length to be whatever you want it to be. You also have the option to have it be whatever color you want it to be. In addition to the fabric, you can have like chiffon or organza or voile, and this one I believe is voile, and it is, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers, and it is 5 layers. Yes, this is 5 layers deep, and I think for Lolita 3 layers is pretty good. It's a pretty solid amount of layers. So yeah, 5 is a little bit excessive, but you know, I wanted to try it out. And yeah, upon putting on it is a little bit extra. I do feel like a planet when I wear it. In fact, I think the original owners sold this because like the poof was too massive for them. But I will admit, I need to be in a special kind of mood to wear this one. This is strictly for like OTT days. But yeah, there's also an underskirt in there as well. It flares out a little bit actually, which is very interesting. It is a little bit more similar to the Aurora and Ariel underskirt. This is actually very cozy. Despite having a whole bunch of layers, it actually feels pretty comfy. I mean, as comfortable as you can get wearing this much stuff. Like, I don't start automatically sweating through it. So if I put this on like in the middle of summer, I mean, it's hot, so it's going to be hot, but I won't be more so hot wearing this. But yeah, it is very soft, and overall it's just constructed very professionally. Like, this is really nice. Something that I noticed with like Aurora and Ariel, and even some of the Wonderwelt parts, was that like there were loose threads and stuff, but this all looks so neatly put together. It's very clean, so yay. But yeah, so now I'm gonna go ahead and try them on with different kinds of cuts so that you can see what they look like, and like with what kind of fabrics, lighter or heavier. Alright, so there you have it. I hope this was helpful, even if in some small kind of way. You may be wondering if it is necessary to have all these petticoats, and it absolutely is not. I think it's perfectly fine having one solid petticoat. That is really all you need. But for me, myself, I like having options. The hoop skirt, again, is really great for hot summery days, and also again it allows me to make, you know, tiny miniature petticoats for other kinds of clothes. So I would say if you have any need for like those two things, definitely get one. Doesn't necessarily have to be TuluTulu, although I will say their work was a lot more well done than the AliExpress version. Now the Aurora and Ariel and the Wonderwelt ones are also really good for like everyday usage. Ordinarily I will cycle between them depending on whether I'm looking for just a slightly more A-line or a slightly more cupcake look. So it's just really convenient having those two choices. And then also having the MeLikesTea Gigantor Poof. So I do feel that they all serve different purposes, which as someone who wears Lolita often, it's just really nice to have. But again, if I were to recommend any one of these to a beginner, I still would say the Aurora and Ariel one is just a very good choice. But yeah, so thanks for watching if you watched, and I will see you next time. Bye!